Howdy folks, how we all doing? I'm the Reverend Danny Crosby, a Unitarian minister serving congregations in Altrincham and in Urmston in the northwest of England. I do hope you're able to find the love and to witness the blessings that are there in life in these very, very difficult times. It's really hard, my friends, but we are all in this one together. With this in mind, I'm offering devotions, offering my little bit of hope, doing what I can, playing my role, being a part of the solution in these difficult times. These devotions are offered as a balm for the heart, the mind, the spirit and the soul. And the title for today's reflection, today's devotion is If Only. If Only. So I invite us just to still ourselves in silence now. Let's invite a loving presence to be here amongst us and to awaken from deep, deep within us. I have lit the flame of freedom in this cup of belonging, acceptance, and love. We join together in our physical separation, but united in our devotion to life and to love. Know that you are welcome as you are in this moment, and that you are welcome in the spirit of love. May you awaken to the sacredness of this time and this space, and to the sacredness of all life. This is a moment when life will never be quite the same again. Nothing ever repeats in life. Nothing is ever exactly the same again. But know that you are welcome just as you are, exactly as you are this moment. Know that whatever has been before, that this moment can be a new beginning. Let us be open to it. Let us open our hearts, our minds, our spirits and our souls to the infinite possibilities of what might yet be. Let us believe in possibility. Let us believe in hope and not despair. Let us join together in the spirit of love. Amen. In his book, My Journey Through the Valley of the Shadow, Love and Death, My Journey Through the Valley of the Shadow, a book that he wrote while he was dying and knew he was dying, Forest Church wrote, "The only way to reconcile yourself, make peace with yourself, make peace with your neighbour, make peace with God, find salvation, is to break through and love, to forgive and to love. You don't change the person you forgive, you change your own heart. So anything that you can do to reconcile also means that at the end of your life, when you're given a few months to live, you can look back without regret." The two saddest words in the English language are if only. And they ring with the most poignancy at a time that a person gets word that he or she has a terminal illness. If only I had stopped drinking. If only I'd dared to change careers when I could. If only I'd reconciled with my father when I had a chance. And I agree with Forrest, but who am I to argue? But I do agree. I believe that if only are the saddest two words in the English language. I would also add that they are the loneliest two words too. How many of us live with this sense of regret for the things we have done or just as painfully failed to do? How many of us live in isolation from people we have known and loved in our lives because of our pride? How many of us have let past wrongs done or perceived to have been done stop us living the loving and connected lives that we're capable of? Why do we find it so hard to seek and to give forgiveness? Why is reconciliation so challenging? Why does pride hold us in this sense of regret? Why are so many of us visited in the darkest night with the ghosts, that whisper, if only. If only. Well, because it's not easy. It requires us to rise above and beyond our small selves to a larger way of being. As Sarah Morse Campbell has claimed, there is an incredible power in forgiveness, but forgiveness is not rational. One can seldom find a reason to forgive or be forgiven. Forgiveness is often undeserved. It may require a dimension of justice, penance in traditional terms, but not always, for what it holds sacred is not fairness, but self-respect and community. Forgiveness does not wipe away guilt, but it invites reconciliation. And it is as important to be able to forgive as it is to be forgiven. No, it's not easy to forgive, but it is vital, not only for ourselves, but for the greater good of all. Forgiveness is about reconciliation. It's about bringing wholeness, healing to all. This is why, in my experience, failing to offer forgiveness and failing to atone for our own wrongs and mistakes makes reconciliation impossible. And I have come to believe that it is this that breeds a sense of isolation and loneliness deep, deep within us. It is not by chance that atonement can be broken down to at one meant. For it is such acts that bring about oneness in life. A while ago I spent a few days with a group of people exploring the subject of forgiveness. We were together in a beautiful and loving setting, and it was an open environment in which we talked about our struggles with forgiveness of others and of ourselves. I believe that we all gained a great deal from our time together, and I hope it renewed us in our efforts to reconcile ourselves with our past and those we have shared our lives with, so as to live better lives in the future. One thing that came strongly out of the weekend was this sense that forgiveness is not about forgetting. Yes, it's about healing and reconciliation, but not about simply abandoning the past and passively just letting it go. In fact, if anything, real forgiveness is a true act of remembrance. It's about growing from the past and becoming increasingly whole people. It's about living acts of remembrance from what has happened in the past, creating something from the past. Something good. Again, as Sarah Morse Campbell has said, no, we do not forgive and forget. But when we invite the power of forgiveness, we release ourselves from some of the destructive hold the past has on us. Our hatred, our anger, our need to feel wronged. Those will destroy us whether a relationship is reconciled or not. Our varied struggles with forgiveness showed how difficult it was to truly reconcile ourselves with our past, with ourselves, and with those we have shared and share our lives with. Forgiveness is not easy. It is easy to say, perhaps, I forgive you, but those are just words. It's far from easy to truly mean them, though. We cannot just simply will ourselves into it, and it certainly isn't an overnight matter. The key, as in all things, is to be open to it. Here lays its power and its love. Here lays the key to be freed from the aching loneliness of regret and the ghosts of if only. The ghosts of if only. Not only for ourselves, but for the good of all. I have come to believe that our lives, all our lives, depend upon it. Again, to quote Sarah Morse Campbell, we cannot just will ourselves to enter into forgiveness, either as givers or receivers. We can know it is right and that we want to do it, and still not be able to. We can, however, be open and receptive to the power of forgiveness, which, like any gift of the Spirit, isn't of our own making. Its power is rooted in love. The Greek word for this kind of love is agape, as love seeking to create community. This kind of love is human, but it is also the grace of transcendent power that lifts us out of ourselves. It transforms and heals, and even when we are separated by time or space or death, it reconciles us to ourselves and to life. For its power abides not just between us, but within us. If we invite the power of agape to heal our personal wounds and give us the gift of forgiveness, we would give our world a better chance of survival. At one point during that weekend, we discussed the limits of forgiveness and whether there are any. A friend said that he didn't know how he would react if someone did anything to his son, and many people agreed with him. And then I shared an example of this and the power of forgiveness. I recounted my dear friend Claire's reaction to witnessing her son being killed in front of her eyes on a crossing. The driver did not stop at the crossing and he took Ethan's life. But a power from within her, or perhaps beyond her, compelled her to forgive him there and then. I know from watching her piece her life together since that if she hadn't done so there and then, she would not have survived herself, or if she had, she would have lived with the aching bitterness for the rest of her life. Not that the last years have been easy. She's been to hell and back many times, but that power, the power of love, has somehow held her through it all. And I believe that it was the same power that compelled her to forgive the driver that day on the side of the road. It just came spontaneously to her, from somewhere. It's a love that passeth all rational understanding. But it's one that can hold us and sustain us through whatever happens in life, if we let it have its way and bring it to life through our fragile, frail human being. Forgiveness is a true act of love. It is the purest agapeic sense of the word. It is an act of the heart, and it takes real courage. Remember, as I say constantly, it probably bores people to death, but remember that courage is from the French word for heart, cœur. In the Hindu sacred poem Bhagavad Gita, you hear this reflected in the following. If you want to see the brave, look at those who can forgive. If you want to see the heroic, look at those who can love in return for hatred. And you see it reflected in the dying words of Jesus on the cross. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. This same loving courage was expressed in the way that both Dr. Martin Luther King and Mahatma Gandhi led their movements of non-violent resistance. These were powerful, loving soul forces that inspired healing and reconciliation, and these ideas were taken up by the likes of the Archbishop Desmond Tutu in South Africa in the Truth and Reconciliation hearings that took place there following the end of apartheid. And it can be the same with our individual lives too, and our individual hearts. At some level, I think we all need to reconcile ourselves with someone or something, even if it's just our own hearts, our own pasts. And this is why it's so important to accept and to understand and to truly believe, and certainly I do, that forgiving is not about forgetting at all. In fact, what it's really about, forgiving, is really about remembering. Actually, it's more than just remembering. Forgiveness is a true act of remembrance. It's about bringing the memory alive and creating something from the past. Reconciliation is not just something that occurs between us, but also within us, in each of our hearts, in each of our minds, in each of our souls, and it's powered by that spirit. If we can make something from our past hurts, we can create meaning from even the hardest moments of our lives and bring a new wholeness and openness to our lives. In so doing, we won't live out our lives with that aching, lonely feeling of regret. And we will not be visited by those ghosts of if only. The ghosts of if only. In so doing, we will leave something to pass on to those who follow, and our lives will truly have proved worth dying for by the love that we have left behind. I'm just going to share with you a full version of Sarah Moores Campbell's reflection on forgiveness. I've quoted a few bits from above, but I'm just going to read the whole little section. It comes from Into the Wilderness. So this is Forgiveness by Sarah Moores Campbell. There is an incredible power in forgiveness, but forgiveness is not rational. One can seldom find a reason to forgive or be forgiven. Forgiveness is often undeserved. It may require a dimension of justice, penance in traditional terms, but not always, for what it holds sacred is not fairness, but respect and community. Forgiveness does not wipe away guilt, but invites reconciliation. It is as important to be able to forgive as it is to be forgiven. No, we don't forgive and forget, but when we invite the power of forgiveness, we release ourselves from some of the destructive hold the past has on us. Our hatred, our anger, our need to feel wronged, those will destroy us whether a relationship is reconciled or not. But we cannot just will ourselves to enter into forgiveness, either as givers or receivers. We can know it is right and that we want to do it and still not be able to. We can, however, be open and receptive to the power of forgiveness, which, like any gift of the Spirit, isn't of our own making. Its power is rooted in love. The Greek word for this kind of love is agape, as love seeking to create community. This kind of love is human, but is also the grace of transcendent power that lifts us out of ourselves. It transforms and heals, and even when we are separated by time or space or death, it reconciles us to ourselves and to life, for its power abides not just between us, but within us. If we invite the power of agape to heal our personal wounds and give us the act of forgiveness, we would give our world a better chance of survival. Something we need to do right now. So what are your regrets? What are your if-onlys? Maybe use this time when we're all enclosed a bit more than usual, when we're all separated physically. Maybe it's time to reflect on the things, on your regrets, on your if-onlys, on the things that you need to reconcile within yourself and within your lives and within your communities, within your families. What are your regrets? What are the if-onlys you wish you could reconcile? Something to ponder, perhaps. I'm going to end today's reflection with just a few words of blessing. We need to bless more. We can all bless. We can bless by giving our whole hearts to life. So let's begin by blessing today. Let's give our whole hearts to life. So I offer these final words of blessing for today. Let us return to life once more. Let us not seek the narrow path that avoids the wilderness. Let us instead walk in faith, hope, love and courage, along faith's broad highway. Let's walk the broad highway, not the narrow path that avoids all the life's troubles. Let's walk the broad highway and experience all that life offers to us. Let us become blessings to this, our world, and may we carry these blessings with us in all that we feel, in all that we think, in all that we say, in all that we do.